Rico Verhoeven has been the undisputed Glory heavyweight champion since 2015 and is widely considered as one of the best heavyweights in the modern era of kickboxing. Say what you want about the Dutch fighter, but no one seems to have an answer for the King of Kickboxing. Rico Verhoeven is an incredibly unique and skilled fighter who has long reigned supreme over the Glory heavyweight division. In this video today, we're going to take a look at some of the best highlights of the King of Kickboxing's career, which include some of the most badass moments in recent history, such as his performances against the heavyweight gladiators like Badr and Jamal Ben Saddik. This is DBD Fight Club. Welcome back. In our first chapter, we begin this video in the Glory Heavyweight Tournament, where a 24-year-old Rico Verhoeven is set to fight the kickboxing legend Gökhan Saki. The Turkish fighter was by far a favorite to win the tournament, but the Dutch fighter was ready to make a statement. Verhoeven was visibly the much bigger fighter, but certainly didn't feel that way by his movement. Despite his size, Verhoeven moves like a lightweight, constantly moving around the ring, and consistently feinting to confuse his opponents. He sets out to mix beautiful boxing combinations and likes to show off his signature low kick to the inside of the opponent's rear leg, a move that will be essential to his arsenal. A beautiful and mature performance earned Rico the upset victory over Gökhan Saki and earned a spot in the final of the tournament. His opponent in the final was Daniel Gita. Apart from being a successful kickboxer, the Romanian heavyweight was also a former security officer for his country's president. The stakes were high for this one, but the young Dutch talent came to shine. Gita was on the gas from the start, landing some heavy rear leg kicks to the body of Verhoeven, but the Dutch fighter wasn't kept quiet. As the fight went on, it was evident that Verhoeven had more energy and pace, and was able to increase the pressure towards the end of the fight. Rico's signature boxing style started to wear down the Romanian fighter, but Gita was able to inflict some damage of his own and make this fight as close as possible. The 24-year-old had done enough in the judges' eyes to earn the win via unanimous decision. Rico Verhoeven was on the rise and just cemented the first major highlight of his career that would only boost his career in the right direction. Following his early success in Glory's heavyweight tournament, Rico would go on to fight some notable names in the sport of kickboxing, fighting the likes of Peter Aerts, Errol Zimmerman, and Mladen Brestovac, and so many others. Before we dive into his legendary performances against the likes of Badr and Jamal Ben Saddik, let's take a look at some of Rico's most dominating performances in the last 8 years. After cruising to a victory over the legendary Peter Aerts, Rico went on to win the Glory Heavyweight Championship after fighting a very familiar opponent, Daniel Gita. In his first title defense, he fought against K1 veteran Errol Zimmerman. This fight turned out to be more of a brawl than a kickboxing match, with both fighters launching a flurry of attacks, and in the last minute of the first round, the judge called a knockdown of Zimmerman. Rico landed some devastating low kicks that would slowly weather down the lower half of Zimmerman, and then in the split second of an ambitious tactic, Zimmerman fell to the ground and was unable to continue. After successfully defending his belt in their first matchup, the Romanian Benjamin Adekbui earned a chance of redemption, and after telling the media that Rico had no knockout power, Rico came to remind him to never disrespect the king. Defending the belt and silencing the doubters in beautiful fashion was just the confidence booster Rico needed to continue his dominance over the heavyweight division. In 2016, he fought kickboxer Anderson Silva, not to be mistaken with the MMA legend. Rico displayed perfect Dutch technique, and in the second round, 3 back-to-back heavy kicks coming from the rear leg rendered the Brazilian unable to continue. He later welcomed UFC veteran Antonio Silva to his first professional kickboxing bout. Despite his fair share of wars with fighters like Mark Hunt and Daniel Cormier, nothing could have prepared him for the difficulty of fighting an expert-level striker like Verhoeven. In this memorable highlight of his career, and shortly after his wars against Jamal Ben Saddik and Badr, which we'll get to in just a few minutes, Rico participated in the 2021 Glory Heavyweight Tournament. His first opponent of the evening, Hesti Gergis. Rico was on the gas right from the horn, landing those classic inside low kicks that knocked Gergis off balance. One thing we've seen Rico utilize more is a unique combination that consists of a rear high kick, followed by a rear straight, before the leg even comes down.
Good perspective. Oh, like that. Rico's got to be careful.
Rico cruised to a victory and earned the spot in the final against a tough opponent in Tariq Kababez. We see that unique combination used again against Kababez, which made it a difficult fight for the Moroccan challenger, and Rico would seal the deal with a TKO finish after a brutal low kick sends Kababez to the ground and informs the ref he can no longer continue.
To land those low kicks because you got. And then when you're.
Rico, the King of Kickboxing, Verhoeven.
Badr is considered to be one of the best and most feared heavyweight kickboxers that's ever lived. The Dutch-born Moroccan fighter was a former champion of the prestigious Japanese promotion K1 and has one of the most impressive resumes in the sport and a knockout percentage of 87% to back it up. In 2016, Rico Verhoeven welcomed Badr to his first fight in Glory in a sold-out event that would feel like the Colosseum of Rome, with the opening bell delayed due to a fight in the crowd. In the very first few seconds, Badr came out guns blazing, landing some tough shots. But Rico kept cool, took control of the center of the ring, and landed some clean rear and switch kicks to the body. Badr was countering every shot and seemed to land on the button, but Rico started to pile on the body kicks, softening the forearms of his opponent. In the second round, Badr walked away from Rico looking downwards at his arm. It would end up being a heavy knee to the upper body in the clinch that would damage the forearm of Badr. And while it was an impressive performance, many were disappointed in the finish, and Badr would take to the mic to set up the inevitable rematch.
I swear, I gave you credits, but now I don't give a fuck. Next year, I swear, I will knock you the fuck out.
And 3 years later, they met again, this time with Rico on the gas early on.
So let's see how he adapts. Rico
After a signature inside kick, Badr knocked down Verhoeven with a nasty right hook.
from a right cross. That rear low kick.
But Rico came back strong, sweeping Badr off his feet before the bell.
What a start for.
In the second round, Rico connected with some beautiful combinations to stumble the Moroccan.
This is not typical Rico. Look at the jab with the right hand. Kickboxing.
Simple feints, quick hands, and signature low kicks started to take a toll on Badr, and you can see him slowly fatigue.
That's for that opportunity. When he feels Rico's opening up, he rips.
In the third, Badr landed a rear high kick to knock down Rico for the second time, but then an ambitious spinning heel kick damaged his own leg. Say what you want about the outcome, but Rico is known for his experience and longevity. The longer the fight goes on, he outshines his opponents even more. While the Badr saga wasn't the most perfect, Rico Verhoeven would shine against another familiar foe, Jamal Ben Saddik. The 6'9", 280-pound fighter, also known as the Goliath, beat the young Verhoeven once before, but things would completely change in the second fight. The buildup was tense, and the stakes were high. Rico Verhoeven would have another tough challenge in front of him, but diamonds are made under pressure. Like most heavyweight fights, both opponents collide like bulls, and in this instance, Ben Saddik was on the offensive and was landing simple yet heavy punches. He was catching Rico as the Dutchman was pulling back from his shots and proceeded to punish him. After a strike that failed to be called a knockdown, Rico rose up and pressed on the gas, and towards the end of the fight, he was looking like the fresher fighter and began to strike faster, cleaner, and mix in more kicks with his punches. In the last round, a beautiful lead high kick would nearly send the Goliath down, and a barrage of straights and hooks would call on the ref for a standing 8 count.
Some complain that Rico's not a closer. He's not a finisher. He's not a glorious. Is he going to put on here? The head kick started the sequence. What
Watching his opponent nearly get knocked out on his feet was all the motivation Verhoeven needed to slay the Goliath. Came nearly 4 years later, with the beginning of the fight resembling their first bout, and Jamal Ben Saddik landed a combination in the second round that would open up a nasty cut on Rico. Jamal was landing some brutal shots that were clearly hurting Rico, and the Dutchman was looking weak at times, but in the third round, he dug deep inside to pull himself out of the fire. Despite the exhaustion, Rico was landing and connecting on dozens of strikes, opening gaps in Ben Saddik's defense.
Rico that catches the Goliath. Rico, big right hand again. Saddik trying to cover up in the corner. Fire back.
You see what I mean?
Rico saw an opportunity when his opponent's arms were down and let out a triple right hook that would slump Ben Saddik over the ropes.
Instead of wasting that energy.
If you see him give the right hand a couple of times, he doesn't.
Rico caught him again. Jamal's trying to
An injured and exhausted Ben Saddik could no longer continue, and after 9 rounds of heavyweight destruction, the King of Kickboxing was victorious in both fights. Rico Verhoeven has long reigned supreme over Glory's heavyweight division. For the last 10 years in kickboxing, he's only lost once, and has been on a 17-fight win streak since then, with most bouts being title fights. Following a 2-year layoff from injury, Rico Verhoeven cruised to a victory over up-and-coming prospect Cookie Rico Saro in November of this year. Whether you agree or not, Rico Verhoeven is arguably one of the best heavyweight fighters in the modern era of kickboxing. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts about Rico Verhoeven in the comments below. This is DBD Fight Club, and we'll see you next time.